Hi FizzWizzes, this is Ms. Pontius giving you an introduction on how to use Logger Pro graphing software. Our goals today are to rename the X and Y as well as the data set appropriately and to give the graph a title, name and date. We are to add a second data set and have it appear on the sample. And for a linear trend in the graph, have Logger Pro do a linear fit. To begin, you're going to click on this icon on the screen, or alternatively, you can open Logger Pro in the Applications folder. I have a Logger Pro file, and I've entered in the first set of data for our buggies. And as you can see, it automatically plots the data down, and it looks very linear. All right, so we want to change the name of our generic variables X and Y to something that'll fit our experiment. So scroll to the X and double-click. You'll get an option to rename it. So I'm going to call this time, and give it a short name T and the units in seconds, and click Done. Rename the generic Y, that'll be our position, in, typically it's called X, and I'll give it units of centimeters. Okay, now I'm going to call my data set name because I want to distinguish it from the next buggy data I put in, which is a purple car. So this data set is from the green buggy. Okay, so now I'd like to show you how to get to the option of entering a new data set, because I want to put my purple buggy right with the same graph as my green buggy. So I'm going to go up to the tabs on top and find Data. Click on Data and New Manual Column. And our new column is going to be, all right, now I want to enter in my second set of data for my purple buggy. So I go to the tabs on top, find Data, click on it, and I want to add New Data Set. Click. And that gives me a whole set of time and position data for a new buggy, which is still called green until I rename it. But it's halfway hidden, so I'm going to go down to the bottom. You'll find a little slider bar and move it over, so now you have room to put your new sets of data for your second data set. Before I do that, I'm going to double click on the green buggy's name, and I'm going to call it by the new color buggy, purple buggy. Okay. All right, then just go ahead and enter in your second set of data. Okay, so we've entered the second set of data for the purple buggy, but you can see it didn't put the data points out here, so we have to tell it to do that. Pick any of the blank space on the graph and double click, and it'll bring you up to graph options. Okay, so we've entered the second set of data for the purple buggy, but we could see that we still just have one data set plotted. It did not plot the new data set. We have to wake it up to the fact that there is a second data set. So double click on any of the white space on the graph, and that should bring up graph options. All right, and go to axes options, and you can see it's got green buggy there, and now we need to wake up the purple buggy. So if we click this little arrow, and then let me scroll down a little bit, click on the position, it should appear on there. Say OK. And there we have it. You'll see that they are both linear, and it's like one has definitely a larger rate of change. I'd like to show you, you could change the appearance of your plotted points if you click on one of them or double click on one of them and perhaps go to the options. And here's where you could change the circle or the point appearance. So let's try a filled circle, and let's see if they have actually the color green for our green buggy. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing for my purple buggy, hopefully. Double click on a purple point that is right now red, and I'm going to keep with the filled square. I'm going to see if they have a purple, and there is. There's dark purple, and then done. Let's give our graph a title appropriate. Typically we title it by the name of the vertical axis, which is position, and then add the word versus or VS, and then the name of the horizontal axis. And then add a little more physical description to make it appropriate. So here I'm going to put the title. I'm going to say position versus time for 2 buggies. And I'm going to add my name is Pontius and today's date, 9/25/2017. Okay. And there we go. And you'll see at the top there are some little icons, and if you scroll over them, eventually a little name will pop up. So find, for example, the linear fit, and click on that. And then you want to tell it to fit both of your lines. Okay. And then you can move these little boxes around so it's not so confusing. And you can see here it gives the slope of 15.18 centimeters a second for the purple buggy, and a slope which is about 10.17 centimeters each second for the green buggy. And so there you have their rates of change, otherwise known as their velocity. So I would like you to try it now. Now I'd like to show you, if we are going to print your graph, walk you through how to do that. At the top of the screen, you will choose, let's set up the page to print landscape mode first. And then go to File, Print Graph. And say OK, and it should go, make sure it goes to the printer that's in the room or the black Media Center printer. And say OK, and there you go. Okay, so there you have it. Good luck with trying to do this with your own 2 real buggies.